So an inequality is something that is like an equation, except instead of having one answer, it has a multitude of answers. So it has one of these four symbols: the greater than symbol, the less than symbol, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. So I'm going to start by talking about greater than and less than. If you look at the less than symbol, it almost looks like an L that's kind of turned sideways and slanted. So you can remember that that's the less than symbol by remembering that less than starts with L and it kind of looks like an L. And then greater than would be the opposite of that, so the one that's turned the other way. And then greater than or equal to and less than or equal to look similar, except they have a line under them. And that line is part of an equal sign. It's like the bottom half of an equal sign. So it's showing that it could be greater than or it could be equal to, and then it could be less than or it could be equal to. Some words that you might see in a problem that would let you know that it's a greater than problem are the words more, above, or over. Those aren't the only ones, but those are some common ones you might see. Words you might see that could tell you that it's a less than problem. You might see fewer, below, or under. And again, those aren't the only ones, but those are just some common ones. Those are pretty easy because those are things that we know those mean greater than or less than. For greater than or equal to and less than or equal to, they're a little bit trickier. So for greater than or equal to, one thing you might see is at least. Least to some of us might make us think less than, but if you have to be at least 18 to go to an R-rated movie, that means you have to be 18 or older. So that's greater than or equal to. Another way is no less than. You can make no less than a 70 on your test to pass. So you can't make less than. You can make equal to 70 or you can make more. Or at an amusement park, you have to be a minimum of 48 inches to ride the big roller coaster. So minimum means you could be 48 inches or you could be greater than 48 inches. So those mean greater than or equal to. And the opposite of that is less than or equal to. So at most, if your mom says you can spend at most $50 at the mall, you could spend the whole 50 or you could spend less than 50, but you can't spend more. She might also say you can spend no more than $50 at the mall, and that would mean the same thing, no more than. Or she might say you can spend a maximum of $50. So you can spend the 50, you can spend less than the 50, you can't go over. That's the max amount you can spend. Another thing that we do with inequalities is that we graph them. And so if we were to graph an equation, we would just have one dot where the answer is. But for instance, for greater than, since that doesn't include, let's say this was 5, if it was x is greater than 5. Well, it doesn't include 5. So we draw an open circle around 5 because that one's not being included. But everything that's greater than 5 is included. So we would shade everything to the right. Similarly, with less than, if this was like less than 3, we'd draw an open circle around 3, and then we would shade everything to the left of 3. And if you look, it's almost as if these are arrows. So it almost shows you where to shade. So greater than is pointing to the right, so we shade to the right. Less than is pointing to the left, so we shade to the left. The difference with the bottom ones is that it does include, it says or equal to. So if it was greater than or equal to 5, it includes the 5. So we shade that. And then we shade in the circle and then we shade everything to the left. And then less than or equal, we shade in the circle and shade everything to the left. So I call this, if it has a line, it needs a mouth guard. No line, no mouth guard. You'll hear me say that a lot.